Hello and welcome to Biz Headlines on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Naa Oyoe Quartey. On to our first story on the cedi performance. Now, the local currency has rebounded by 5% against the US dollar in March as government's decision to suspend external debt payments eased demand for greenbacks in the local foreign exchange market. Now, Ghana stopped payments on Eurobonds and other external debts in December, pending an agreement with creditors that is needed to unlock an international monetary fund bailout. Traders said the impact is beginning to filter through to the currency after it lost ground in the first 2 months of the year. Stopping debt servicing means Ghana will not have to pay 516 million US dollars in Eurobond coupons over the first half of this year, according to Samuel Parker Langdon, a trader in Accra. This eased the pressure on forex reserves. Parker Langdon said there's also a bias toward a stronger currency as markets see an IMF deal in reach. Now, on the Electricity Company of Ghana, the ECG has announced that beginning Monday, March 20, 2023, it shall close down all of its offices across the country as it seeks to embark on a nationwide revenue mobilization revenue. The power distribution company said the exercise, which will last for a 1 month period, will end on Thursday, April 20. According to the ECG, the exercise shall effect operations at its head office, regional and district offices, except for customer service centers, to enable total participation by top management and staff. This massive revenue mobilization exercise will focus on all categories of customers in arrears, including state-owned enterprises, and will be monitored by special teams who apprehend and prosecute customers who attempt to interfere with the exercise and who take illegal self-reconnection after disconnection, it said in a public notice. Managing editor of the Insight newspaper, Kwesi Pratt Jr., has alleged the mistreatment of passengers at the Kotoka International Airport in the name of the government's gold for oil policy. According to the veteran journalist, he has received multiple reports of personal ornaments of passengers, such as rings and bangles, being confiscated by officials at the airport. I've received 3 complaints, and the last one was from a Ghanaian living in China. He had visited the country and was returning to China. When he got to the airport, his wedding ring and a bangle he was wearing were seized. When he raised questions, he was told, "Haven't you heard about the gold for oil policy? We are taking gold to buy oil," he narrated on Tuesday, March 14, during an interview. He stated that the passenger was issued an official document for the seizure of the ornaments. Next, on the banking sector, banking consultant Dr. Richmond Etuahine has warned that banks operating in the country could face insolvency if the International Financial Reporting Standards 9 is applied strictly following their participation in the domestic debt exchange program. Already, there are indications that foreign-owned banks, including South Africa-based Standard Bank and First Rand Bank, are looking to recapitalizing their Ghanaian arms, with the former being reported to have set aside 1.5 billion South African rand, approximately 81 million US dollars, to cover potential losses emanating from the DDEP, according to his analysis contained in a paper titled Assessing the Domestic Debt Exchange Program and Fair Value Accounting Impact on Local Bank Solvency. More than 30%, that is 9 banks out of 23, could go bust if the IFRS 9 is not temporarily suspended. Now back to the power sector. The Vice President of Imani Africa, Bright Simmons, has asserted that private power producers who supply more than 50% of the country's electricity have given government a 3-week ultimatum to start paying its arrears of about 1.5 billion US dollars. He noted that the failure of the government to settle its debts will lead to a shortfall in power supply, which will subsequently trigger power crisis, otherwise known as doomsday, in the country. In a series of tweets cited by GhanaWeb Business, Bright Simmons said the private power producers are, however, opened for discussion with government on the payments plan. The move is to give government some time to pay their due whilst they find lasting solutions to the country's economic crisis. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia on Wednesday, March 15, commissioned a new office complex for the bulk oil storage and distribution company. The new twin-tower block, built at a cost of $39 million and located at Jowulu, will serve as the permanent office of the state-owned company. Speaking at the commissioning ceremony, Dr. Bawumia described BOST as a perfect example of an effectively run state-owned enterprise, changed its fortune from a debt-riddled company to a profit-making organization under its current management. The Vice President emphasized the critical role of BOST in the economic architecture of Ghana, while citing gains made by the state following the introduction of the gold for oil policy, which has led to a stabilization of petroleum prices as well as easing up the pressure on the country's forex reserve. On to our final story. The government has revealed plans to reintroduce road tolls in the country. This was according to a press release cited by GhanaWeb Business, where the finance minister wrote to the Ministry of Roads and Highways to confirm the approved fees as tolls on roads and bridges will be reintroduced into this country. According to Ken Oforiatta, it is provided under Section 6 of Act 1080 for the minister to amend the schedules of the Act to include or exclude MDAs and or adjust the fees and charges collected by MDCs for their services through a legislative instrument when necessary. Accordingly, this ministry has initiated steps to provide for foundational rates for tolling of roads and highways as part of the amendments of the Act, pending completion of the process to identify the roads and highways to be affected by the reintroduction of the road tolls as stated in the budget. That's all for this week's edition of Biz Headlines on GhanaWeb TV. But log on to www.ghanaweb.com for more news stories. Follow us on all our social media handles. We are at the GhanaWeb on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. On YouTube, we are at the GhanaWeb. Do subscribe. My name is Naa Oyoe Quartey. Have a lovely weekend.